So I monitor both conservative and liberal media, and conservative media has been an absolute disaster lately. I've been overwhelmed with all of the nonsense I've had to call out. So I was happy when I was watching this, and I had quite a bit of issues with it, which I'm more than happy to discuss. Now, I will accept that my disagreement with Chris Cuomo might come from my ignorance of some of the intricacies of politics and government and how things work. So feel free to correct me in the comment section below if I'm wrong. Now let's watch this together, and I'll share my thoughts on what I think about what Chris Cuomo has to say.
She is losing. Recent polls have Cheney getting less support from party members than the QAnon kook. This is why the Democrats can't get anywhere. It is not fair to put it on Biden and saying he talked about unity. Where's the unity? Are you kidding me? This is about the GOPQ.
So first of all, my first instinct is, so here he is providing cover for the Democrats. Now I know, or at least I strongly suspect that CNN is extremely partisan, but from a propaganda or pandering standpoint, not from a political standpoint. I don't think they really care about the politics. They care about the views and clicks and therefore money. So it's more about pandering to your audience's political ideology the same way the conservative media does. So one thing that's going to be a good look for you is defending Democrats. So he says two things there. I don't know if he's mixing up his thoughts or I'm misinterpreting him, but he mentions about don't blame Biden, and then he references unity. But then he seems to talk about getting a deal, which is not necessarily the same thing. They have the Senate and the executive branch and the House. Now, that doesn't mean they get to do whatever they want, but if there's a specific thing that they cannot do because of the Republicans, then it is for Chris, the journalist, to specify that so I can understand. Right? Don't just tell me you can't get a deal because of the Republicans. How can't you get a deal? What is actually in the way? Be specific.
And what led to the insurrection. Their decision to now go soft on a white supremacist mob. Their decision to pretend it wasn't the Proud Boys.
I agree with these sentiments. Very accurate.
It wasn't the Oath Keepers and the QAnon kooks and those guys in the MAGA hats who were also at the rally. No, it wasn't really them. Okay, we won't go Antifa because there's no proof of that, and we kind of feel still a little shame, but we will play to another conspiracy. That's what Senator Ron Johnson did yesterday. How can you expect the Democrats to do a deal with a guy who says this?
So what specific deal are you referring to? I believe he's referring to the stimulus. Specifically, what the hell is this? I don't even want to know. Specifically, what are they trying to do specifically that the Republicans are blocking them? Previously, when the Republicans had a Senate, it was understood. Mitch McConnell wouldn't even put stuff on the floor for her vote. So that was very clear. Okay, same page, they're obstructing, great. How are they obstructing still when you've got the Senate and House and the executive branch? Now, I know it's a slim majority, but again, you're a journalist. Be clear in your words. See, the way he's talking is fine as far as pandering, because if I'm a partisan, what he's saying is good enough. I'm glad to hear that there's excuses for Biden and, it's the Republicans and the Republicans suck. I'll eat all of this up. Right? This is great content for a partisan. But for an independent or independent politically or just an independent thinker in general, we want details. What are you talking about, dude? Like, be very specific in how they're blocking.
Do you regret putting that article in?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
It's an eyewitness account from a pretty knowledgeable, trained observer. There's no conspiracy theory.
You would do it again?
Absolutely. We need the full perspective.
No, you don't want the full perspective. You will do anything, advance any lie to make Trump look good. The man, a U.S. senator, read a conspiracy theory at the first public hearing on the Capitol attack.
I wish we would stop focusing so much on Trump, because it's not about Trump. These Republicans don't even like Trump. They were honest about him in the beginning, saying that he would destroy the party, blah, blah, blah. But Trump is a cult of personality. So he has the base in love with him. And this is a democratic republic. We, the people, have the power in this country. We have tremendous power in this country, but the elites have deceived us into thinking that we don't have any power, right? We focus on, the elites and there's politicians and then our votes don't count or whatever. We have tremendous power, and I can't think of any force that can in any way challenge our power. Proof of that is exactly what he's talking about. When he says, they're trying to make Trump look good. They're not trying to make Trump look good, right? Look deeper, Mr. Cuomo. What they're trying to do is appease the base. In other words, the voters. We, the people. That's what a democratic republic means. If they don't do what the voters want, the voters will take away their power and money, and these Republicans will do anything to stay in power and to keep getting those checks. That's what it amounts to. If the base gave up on Trump, so would the Republicans. It's not about Trump. It's about the base. Now, I understand he's the one who seduced them, but ultimately, the one who's really running the show are the people. They're the ones who are saying, you better support Trump or we are going to get rid of you, and have these Republicans running scared. Imagine if Democrats did the same thing.
Back to misinform that the mob was Trump supporters in disguise, that many of them were just families with small kids, elderly, overweight, or frail.
So actually, I would guess that that's actually probably accurate. I've watched a lot of Trump rallies and I see who goes there, and what he just described is pretty accurate. However, I would say most of the ones who went in the Capitol were a little bit of a different group. The thing that people don't understand is Trump supporters are not a monolith. You have Trumpists, you have Trump voters, and you have hate groups like white supremacists and certain anti-Semites, anarchists, and things like that. People whose agendas align with what Donald Trump does or represents. There's also opportunists as well who they're taking advantage of the moment, all right? But there were tens of thousands of people there, and if I were to guess, most of them are probably just regular people, just regular Americans. Obviously, Republicans, typically, and certainly conservatives. But these are shop owners, mothers, fathers, young, old, mostly old. That probably would be most of the people who were there. Not necessarily in the Capitol, but at the event.
What do you see? What have you always seen? What have you only seen? Left and right, you must be reasonable. You know that he is lying. And the reason why is all that matters. That's the reality, okay? And his fellow senator, okay?
So even look at the footage he's showing as he's speaking. Now, my subscribers know I am in no way defending some of these very disgusting individuals who went there looking for blood. Now, I don't know these people. There you go. The anti-Semite that Ben Shapiro won't even discuss. Just taking a guess, these are just regular people. Midwest, Mississippi, Tennessee, Missouri, Iowa, Texas, right? There were a lot of people there. There was a sizable group that were definitely savages, like those people that you saw almost crushing that police officer to death. That's a different group, right? Trump supporters come in many, many flavors, not just the ones that you see on mainstream media.
I always wave to crowds. This is a wave. Hi, how you doing? Maybe two. Hey, how you doing? This is not a wave. It's a fist pump, and you're showing support. That's why you do it. Yes, we're strong. Yes, I stand with you. That's why you do it.
You know what I want to hear you talk about, Chris Cuomo? I want to hear you talk about the nursing home. Oh, yeah. Right. That was mean of me.
We all know it. Now he's telling you he wasn't saluting insurrectionists. Don't call them that. These were peaceful, innocent lambs.
Do you regret any of your actions leading up to this, walking by No, first of all, let me just stop you right there. You call them insurrectionists. I mean, folks who I walked by when I was on my way to the House chamber were standing there peacefully behind police barricades off of the plaza in the capital of the United States. They have a First Amendment right to be there. They don't have a First Amendment right to riot.
He's actually incorrect. They did not, in fact, have a right to be there. Their permit specifically said they were not to leave the meeting area where they had the speeches. They were not allowed to leave and march to the Capitol. Trump encouraged them to do something which they were not allowed to do. They were not supposed to be at the Capitol, right? I know people focus on in the Capitol. They weren't even supposed to march to the Capitol and stay outside. They didn't have a permit for that. And again, the permit specifically said you can't do it.
Some of them later did.
That's the point. By definition, none of them were bad people before they did bad things. Look, he's very smart. He's a legal expert. But this isn't about a big education. It's about an education in telling the truth.
All right, so what are your thoughts on this? I understand, I may not fully understand the procedure in terms of, I'm thinking the Democrats have what they need to do to pass a stimulus. I mean, they have a lot of power right now. I'm like, what's the holdup? Maybe there is something that they need Republicans for. But if that is the case, it is Chris Cuomo's job to inform me of that. He is a journalist. Inform me. Let me know what it is. But since CNN is focused on pandering to their audience, there's no need to give that kind of detail because what he's doing right now is excellent for what he's trying to do, right? This is good stuff. A lot of liberals will watch this and trying to blame Biden when it's these Republicans. Anything that you say negative about Republicans, they're gonna enjoy that. But I'm not caught up in that tribalist mentality. I realize how bad the Republican Party is. It's like a cult. I get it. However, I feel like Biden is doing what Democrats do, which is pretend like they don't have as much power as they do, make up a lot of excuses. And Chris Cuomo has failed to correct me on that. Nothing he has said has given me information where it's kind of like, oh, okay, I get it now. What specifically is it that the Democrats are trying to do that they can't do because of Republicans, right? Tell me that to pass the stimulus, they need to get at least 2 Republicans and they can't get 2 Republicans. And the reason why is like, if that's what you're saying, then fine. But he's not saying that. He's not being specific at all. And when you're vague like this, that is how you can manipulate people, right? The devil is in the details. So I don't know, guys. Maybe you guys have the details, but he failed to provide them. What is it that is stopping Biden from delivering on his promises? $2,000 checks immediately. It's been over a month. Where are the checks? Don't just say the Republicans. Tell me what exactly the Republicans are doing and what allows them to do whatever they're doing and how is that stopping you? Again, I got Mitch McConnell, right? He could block things and not allowed to be voted on. Fine. That was very clear. I'm like, okay, great. Obstruction. What's the obstruction now? What process is being held up by the Republicans, and how are they doing it? Until you let me know that, it's just excuses. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe to my side bell. Be well.